Hello, Sonoma County. So how great is Petaluma, California? Is it really all that it's chalked up to be when you peruse the online sites, see some photos maybe on Instagram? It's got some great food, it's got some great views, but is it worth actually living there? Today, we're going to dive into the pros and cons of living in Petaluma, California. But first, I'm Morgan Devincenzi with Sullivan Group Real Estate, and we help people move into, out of, and all around Sonoma County every single year. So if you are thinking about making that move, trying to figure out if Petaluma is going to be a right fit for you, your lifestyle, your future, your family, you're going to want to watch this. Stay tuned. Okay, before we dive into the pros and cons, quick overview of where even is Petaluma, California. Petaluma is the southernmost city in Sonoma County, California. Yes, wine country, it really is that beautiful. It's a lifestyle we get to live, and we are just about an hour north of San Francisco. So you have an international airport, a big hub city. You come right off that Golden Gate Bridge coming north on Highway 101 through Marin County, and your very first stop in Sonoma County is the beautiful city of Petaluma. Petaluma has so much to love, and I'm probably a little bit biased because I enjoy my time there as well, but there are a few things to know about before you make the leap to actually live there full time, and we're gonna go over just that. First up, we're gonna dive into the positives of living in Petaluma, California. First up, downtown is as charming as possibly could be. It's full of these historic and a lot of the original beautiful facades on the downtown buildings dating back to the mid-1800s, about 1850 or so is when Petaluma really started to be built up, and you can still see a lot of that charm throughout. Of course, we've modernized a little bit as time has gone on, so you have a mix of this beautiful architecture from the 1800s with a mix of what's happening now and kind of an industrial feel, and it sits right along the river, and so it's kind of got this fun eclectic vibe, and the shops, restaurants, and different activities downtown kind of feel that way as well. It's something for everybody. Next up, we have access to nature. Petaluma proper, as well as the surrounding areas, offer a ton of opportunity for those that really enjoy the outdoors. Of course, I already mentioned we have the Petaluma River, which is great for kayaking, fishing, paddleboarding, all sorts of things. And then there's plenty of parks around Petaluma as well. Helen Putnam Regional Park is one of the largest, with beautiful loops and trails all the way up to the top, stunning views on a really clear day, and lots of smaller parks to enjoy as well. Of course, you can pop right into the Bodega area, some of the Sonoma locations, and there's even more hiking and nature to enjoy around us. Third, community spirit can kind of not quite be in Petaluma for most of Sonoma County. It really is a very special community that comes together year-round for events, farmers markets, charities, all sorts of things. You feel it from the smaller neighborhoods into the sections of town. There's a fun, serious, but also playful rivalry of East Petaluma versus West Petaluma, but all of Petaluma loves each other. We have some downtown events year-round that bring out tens, if not 100,000 people to some of these events because they're just an absolute blast, and everybody wants to support the local groups putting them on, and the restaurants and the shops and everybody downtown. So if you're looking for kind of that true Americana feel, Petaluma absolutely has it. 4 would be proximity to wine country. Absolutely, Petaluma has some stunning wineries in Petaluma itself called the Petaluma Gap a lot of times, where some of these wineries sit and the fog rolls in, and the grapes just have this extra earthy kind of smooth feel to them because they aren't scorched like in some of the hotter areas of Sonoma County. But of course, you can hop right on Highway 101 or Highway 116 to Sebastopol or Santa Rosa or the iconic Healdsburg, of course, the town of Sonoma, and you can be wine tasting and enjoying the vineyard views across Sonoma County with not much more than a 20 or 30-minute drive any one of those directions. We have 450 plus wineries here in Sonoma County, and Petaluma puts you in a great location to enjoy them all. 5, absolutely convenient location. Petaluma is right at that southern tip of Sonoma County, as I mentioned, which makes it very commutable. Petaluma, the 101 highway runs right through, so you can get north into Santa Rosa and beyond, or a lot of people choose to live in Petaluma because they still have to drive back into either Marin County, San Francisco, the East Bay, and it is by far the most commutable central location here in Sonoma County. Equally, Petaluma is a pretty well laid out city with a few key shopping centers, so no matter where you end up living, you kind of have everything you need within a 5 to 10 minute drive, and I would say no matter where you live, downtown is within about a 15-minute drive. So convenience within town as well as to all of the other locations around. Number 6 in our last pro of living in Petaluma is diversity of neighborhoods. And this is something that's actually really fun, and I love when people are drawn to Petaluma for this, is they love when they look at Petaluma real estate, how unique each of the neighborhoods truly are. From the layout and setup of them, the style of homes, the park setups, the type of people. It's really something fun, and there's a place for everyone. So there's more historic neighborhoods. There's the neighborhoods up on the hill with the beautiful views. There's your kind of cookie cutter 1970s and 80s subdivision homes that are just like pure Americana, basketball hoops lining the streets and kids all about and people hanging out in their garages and waving to neighbors. I'm not kidding, that's literally how it is. And then we have some beautiful modern home communities as well, from more entry-level pricing all the way up to higher end estates of newer build communities. But there's something for everyone in Petaluma, and that's what keeps Petaluma culture and energy really vibrant. Okay, so if I had just stopped the video there, I have a feeling a lot of people would be like, wow, Petaluma is a great place to live. Boy, you should probably look into it, and I wouldn't blame you. And even after I go through the cons, you may still kind of think that, but I think it's important to look at this very realistically. If your life is going to be planted into Petaluma, what is it really going to be like living there? Let's dive into the 6 cons of living in Petaluma as well. First con, there's no way to sugarcoat it, cost of living. Everybody knows already that cost of living here in California versus many of the other states is going to be a higher price to pay. But Petaluma has a higher cost of living even than some of the other California locations. Being within about an hour's distance to the greater Bay Area allows people with higher incomes to live in Petaluma, enjoy the space and the scenery and the culture and the community, but also be able to afford it. So it keeps the values fairly high. So in general, the cost of living when it comes to housing, fuel, groceries, and just day-to-day necessities, you're gonna end up paying a little bit more than some of the other California locations. And I believe it's worth it, but it's something to really factor in and make sure you do your research that it's gonna fit in your budget, and we can absolutely help with that. 2, traffic issues. I wish I could say that Petaluma was this perfect location, and it really is an ideal location, but it's not perfect, no place is. Because it is so commutable, we do have quite a bit of traffic going through Petaluma. So I do believe Petaluma is the most commutable location, or the best commutable location. There's still plenty of people that commute from places further north than Petaluma back into the Bay Area. So of course they have to pass through each direction. And then some of the traffic just around Petaluma. Petaluma has really grown in the last 5, 10, especially 20 years, and it's sitting right around 60,000 residents, which is a nice kind of mid-sized city, but you can feel it in those peak traffic hours, 3 to 5 p.m. and in the mornings, everybody's going to school and work. So there's going to be a little bit of traffic. By no means, and I mean by no means, is it going to be anything like living in the heart of San Francisco or in LA, where it takes you 45 minutes to make it 3 miles. Like I said before, it takes roughly 15, maybe 20 minutes to get across town, depending on where you are. And in those peak hours, maybe tack on an extra 5 to 10 minutes. It's really not crazy, but it's just a certain thing you're gonna have to be aware of. Number 3 is kind of funny. It may not be a con for you. It may not even be part of your lifestyle, but it's something to think of. If you're coming from a bigger city, coming to Petaluma might slow you down just a little bit, in the sense of that there's kind of a limited nightlife scene. That goes for Sonoma County as a whole. As a fact, most of Sonoma County by 9 or 10 p.m. is fairly rolled up. There's only a few places still open in the downtown areas of any of these cities. And actually, Petaluma has one of the better nightlife scenes comparatively across Sonoma County, but it's still not like some of those, larger, more metropolitan areas. So if you are all about going to these swanky bars, being out until all hours of night, things like that, you're probably not going to find it in Petaluma. However, there are a couple of fun places to go dance, some late night restaurants, bars, dive bars. There's plenty of options to enjoy, but it's going to be a little bit more limited. So just be prepared for that. Next up, we have weather variability. I know it kind of sounds interesting because hello, we're California and isn't the weather perfect all year round? I mean, mostly compared to most places, to be completely honest. We don't have as crazy of swings seasonally like other locations do, but we actually have some interesting weather, especially in Petaluma, because it has a mix of a coastal weather pattern with an inland weather pattern. And so the combination of the two kind of creates like a whole spectrum of weather in a 24-hour period. A lot of times overnight and in early mornings, we'll have that coastal breeze come in. We do have quite a bit of fog. I personally love the fog. Cools things down, keeps things moist. It feels nice for your skin as well. You don't feel all dried out. That's a positive, but you can believe that the evenings definitely cool down, and then the mornings are going to start out much cooler than some of the other areas in Sonoma County. Usually by about 10, 11 a.m., that fog has well burned off. You got blue skies, sunshine. You know, I'm making this video in September, and this time of year, we're in like easily around the 70s. By 10, 11 a.m., you're working your way into that peak 75-degree weather, give or take, and you get to enjoy that for the mid part of the day, but typically by about 4 p.m., you start kind of feeling those coastal breezes come in, it cools down a little bit more. Sometimes the fog rolls back in the evenings, and we definitely have cooler nights. So it's nice to enjoy in the fact that you have the warmth in the daytime while you're out and about, but you have the cooler weather in the evenings. Open the windows up, let fresh air in, it cools the house down, things like that. But overall, the weather's fairly mild, but we do have a little bit more swing in Petaluma as opposed to Santa Rosa, Windsor, or Healdsburg that stays a little bit warmer or a little bit more even tempered throughout the day each time of year. Number 5, development pressure. The city is constantly going back and forth with, as the city grows, what development do they need to be planning? And of course, families that are 4, 5, 6 generations deep in Petaluma because it's such a great place to live. And of course, it's hard for those long-time rooted people to see a city change so much, called gentrification, and some people love it and some people hate it, but it is what it is. So something to kind of be aware of because of Petaluma's proximity to other locations, the space that Petaluma allows, there is still more room for growth. So how they're going to work that into the city is yet to be fully defined, but just know if you settle into Petaluma, it's likely to continue growing in the future, and the city's already working on those plans, and it may change how the city feels, the traffic, the amenities, and other factors as well. 6, final con of this Petaluma recap here. This one's a tough one, especially for me. Petaluma is a competitive housing market. Simply put, there's a lot of drive to live in Petaluma. Petaluma, of course, the location, the weather, the community. It has some of the top rated schools. I should have made that a pro as well, but you know, this video could be an hour long if I wanted it to. Petaluma has some of the top rated schools in all of California, right in the city of Petaluma for all grades. So that's a huge draw for families. And then people to be able to live in a beautiful single family home, have some elbow room and space for a fraction of the cost compared to what they may get in Marin County or into the Greater Bay Area. So for that, demand remains fairly high in Petaluma and inventory stays a little bit lower. Depends on the house. We may see some multiple offers, also depends on the timing in the market, but at any given price point, there's usually not a tremendous amount of options for different types of housing. You know, if you're looking for a house around 800 to 900,000, which is a nice single family home price point, you may have between the east and west side of town, like 7 or 8 homes to choose from total. And they're all going to be very different, of course, because of all the different kinds of neighborhoods. So keep that in mind. One thing that we give to our clients is just being prepared as soon as possible, even if you aren't planning to move for several months, getting as in tune as you can with that market. So when the time comes, we're ready to act when that right property hits the market. We help people move into Petaluma every year, and they always are happy with the home that they choose. So don't feel alarmed by that, but it's just something to take into account that it's a little bit more competitive of a market compared to some of the other markets around Sonoma County. There we have it, 12 combined pros and cons to live in Petaluma. Does it sound like a great place to live? Is it somewhere that you would consider living? Or maybe we should make some videos about some of the other cities because now you don't want to live in Petaluma. Well, good news for you. On our channel, we have city videos about all the different key locations across Sonoma County, and put my information right here on the screen. You can absolutely just reach out. If you're interested in Petaluma or want some advice on where you might also be inclined to live based on your lifestyle, I would absolutely be happy to answer those questions. recommendations and help fine-tune your home search. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Comment below. Let us know what you think of Petaluma, what you're thinking of this video, and tap subscribe so you can be notified when we release helpful information about all things Sonoma County and Sonoma County real estate. We'll see you soon.